Grassi. MAGNAT Style Grassi is a textured acrylic paint which supplements MAGNAT Style Venetian clay. With the brown-colored particles it contains, the paint highlights the rub-worn plaster texture obtained with MAGNAT Style Venetian clay. The product gives a decorative two-tone color effect where brown and white particles contrast with each other against the selected background color. Application of the coating requires the following products and tools. Undercoat, an acrylic paint with quartz sand for proper substrate preparation. Venetian clay, a single-layer textured paint for the rub-worn plaster effect. Grassi, a supplement to the Venetian clay. Coloring pigment, a concentrated pigment for coloring MAGNAT style products. A Venetian clay brush, a Venetian clay plastic float, a paint roller. Substrate preparation. Proper substrate preparation is a critical stage of work. The surface to be rendered with MAGNAT style Venetian clay should be solid, level, dry and free of dust, adhesive residues, oil, grease and grime. The substrate should also be smooth to produce a good decorative finish. Start with coating the new or previously primed surface with MAGNAT style undercoat. The paint contains fine-grained quartz sand. Its application guarantees increased adhesion of decorative layers. It is easiest to apply the paint with a roller in 1 or 2 layers that must be uniform in texture and color. The recommended drying time is about 2 hours per layer. Product preparation. Pour the contents of the Grassi container into the Venetian clay. Then, depending on the selected color, add the required amount of the coloring pigment. Mix the ingredients by hand, being careful not to crush the white and brown paint particles contained in the product. When several containers of the Venetian clay are to be uniformly colored, it's advisable to color them together in one larger container. The particles in the product may vary in size depending on production lots. To obtain a more uniform grain size, stir the product vigorously to break up the larger particles. Application. Apply MAGNAT style Grassi in one layer with a dedicated brush. Start with places that are difficult to reach. Take an optimum portion of the paint with the brush and then spread it on the surface with gentle strokes in a criss-cross pattern. The Grassi is best applied in one thick layer, spread gently so as not to crush the white and brown particles. Each time you have coated about 1 square meter, spread the paint with a semi-dry brush to eliminate possible streaks or smudges and obtain a shaded texture. When coating larger surfaces, stir the products in the container frequently. After about 30 minutes, depending on the ambient temperature, use the dedicated plastic float to gently rub and crush the white and brown particles. It is best to rub the surface with the float in the direction in which the decorative paint had been applied. When starting to work with the plastic float, make sure that the colored particles do not stick to the tool. If they do, the coating is not dry enough, so give it a few more minutes to dry. The grassy coat is dry enough when the white particles are clearly visible while working with the float. When decorating larger surfaces, apply a Venetian clay layer on each consecutive plane in the same manner as instructed before. It's advisable to apply the Venetian clay on one entire plane without prolonged pauses. This will produce a uniform decorative surface without visible joints between the passes. Leave the finished decorative layer for about 2 hours to dry. The paint develops full strength with resistance to soiling in 28 days. If the product is to be applied on surfaces extremely exposed to soiling, preserve it with MAGNAT Style Rustic Top Coat Sealer.